Hello and welcome to the latest episode of GAIN's Interview Cruncher. I'm Shuli Ghosh. I'm delighted to be hosting this session as part of GAIN's new series on climate change and nutrition, why they need each other. From plant growth to crop yields, it's clear that our food security is being challenged on multiple fronts. High temperatures, drought, flooding, they're all taking their toll. Today, we're going to be hearing from two of the world's leading scientists on how climate change threatens nutrition and food security, and try to answer some of the most pressing questions about the expected crisis. So how does climate change affect our ability to produce the food needed to feed a growing population? How does it impact on the nutritional value of food? And what does it mean for those people who are already struggling to eat a sufficient and healthy diet? We'll be drawing on the latest scientific evidence to lay out the most impactful actions we can take to respond to the changes which are coming, as well as reducing the emissions from our food systems. We've also got the COP27 climate conference coming up in November. So we'll be asking what actions and what commitments we need to see from governments around the world. What kind of solutions can be implemented? And we'll also be reflecting on GAIN's work to ask what we and other actors can do to respond to the growing threat of climate change. Jessica works across GAIN's programs, partnerships and advocacy work to help realize GAIN's ambition to become a truly green NGO. Let's talk a bit about the role of organizations like GAIN. What is GAIN doing to respond to the threat of climate change on both nutrition and food security?
Yeah, thanks, Shuli. And I mean, it's been fascinating to listen to the discussion so far, and really underlined for me why GAIN has started this journey to look at the climate and to understand, how our programs interact with it and what we should be doing. So there's two big things GAIN is really looking at. One is to take a look internally at what we do and say, how can we do this in a way that is more climate sensitive, both in terms of mitigation and making sure that everything GAIN does is consistent with a sort of low emission sustainable pathway. And then also to look at where we need to adapt and bring in those adaptation actions to ensure better nutrition in the future. And the other big area we look at is advocacy. So obviously there are many things that GAIN can't influence and control, but what can we go out for and tell the world about that really needs to happen for climate and nutrition? So I mean, just to expand on the first one a bit, I think Mario already started to speak a bit about GAIN's focus and our work. We work in 13 different countries in Africa and South Asia, and it's all about trying to increase access to healthy, safe and nutritious foods. And lots of those things, as Mario was saying, about increasing the demand for certain foods, looking at the value chains, thinking about how you really get those foods from the farm to the consumer. So often it's not immediately obvious how that might relate with climate or how we make it more climate friendly. But I'll give you one example. We have a project in Pakistan, which is all about increasing the access to dairy for poor consumers, where that's really going to improve their nutrition. So we started that just as a nutrition program, just looking at that side of things. And then we realized that one of the dairy companies we were working with was finding there were 10,000 litres of whey produced in the cheese making process every single day. And what our project then did was to say, look, that's a nutritious product. Can we use that and turn that waste into something that reaches the consumer? And that's exactly what they did. They developed a nutritious drink that children can access in cheap single serving packets, so it's easy for consumers to afford. And that's a really good example, I think, of exactly what Mario was just touching on in that last point. How do you do more with what we have and make the best use of those resources? So that's the kind of thing I spend my time looking at all of our programs, looking for those opportunities. And I think we'll discuss a bit more on some of the advocacy side later, but the second big part of my role is going out and thinking about, on the global stage, what needs to happen, looking ahead to events like COP27, thinking about that integrated policy making that Cynthia was touching on then, and what are the kind of packages and things that need to happen in different places.
I think that is so fascinating and such an important issue about reducing food wastage, as you've said, because this is one of the things that is going to make a huge difference, and we're really going to need to look at as we look at a changing world that we're living in. If you want to find out more about the work that GAIN is doing, latest news and events and a replay of this, then just go to the website gainhealth.org. And you can also follow us on Twitter. We're at GAIN Alliance. Thank you very much, and I hope you join us again next time.